If Omkareshwar was a happy accident, Mahakaleshwar in Ujjain was my planned masterpiece. While Tanjavur and Chidambaram lured me with their architectural marvels, and Kashi struck a chord with its musical soul, it was art, yes, art, that summoned me to Ujjain. Don't roll your eyes yet, the reveal is worth the wait. This video is my humble attempt to capture the soul of India before it completely slips through my fingers. If you haven't yet watched the Omkareshwar travel story, I highly recommend starting there first. I arrived in Ujjain on a late Tuesday afternoon after a long drive across the heart of Madhya Pradesh. By this time, my travel rituals were well established. Figure out the how, where, and what of Darshan logistics. This seemingly simple task can be quite the brain teaser. Every temple has its unique maze of queues, timings, ticket counters, entrances, and ever smiling but cryptic helpful locals. And Ujjain, with its many spiritual offerings, was no different. Let me preface this by saying visiting temples does not naturally lend itself to creation of riveting travel content. It's not like trekking to a remote peak or swimming with dolphins. In Ujjain's case, I was looking at some 20 odd temple visits. I'll be honest, temple hopping can be an exceedingly repetitive experience. But hang in there with me. Like in Omkareshwar, my first night in Ujjain was all about getting misplaced, not exactly lost, but expertly misdirected by my auto driver. Madam, take the Mahakal corridor, he advised, with the conviction of someone delivering an insider tip. Harsiddhi marg is blocked for the evening Aarthi, he added. Trusting his wisdom, I set off only to realize this shortcut was a full-fledged long cut. The walk, though, was unexpectedly magical. The Mahakal corridor stretched alongside the serene Rudra, its grand sculptures and illuminated pathways giving the vibe of a divine art gallery. But let's be clear, I wasn't here for sightseeing. My singular goal was to reach the Mahakaleshwar Temple, and after asking for directions at least 5 times, each response delivered with equal part confidence and vagueness, I found myself at the sheegrah Darshan counter. Sheegrah means fast, right? I was skeptical but hopeful. What followed was a descent, not metaphorical but literal, into what felt like the labyrinth of spiritual treasure hunt. Down and down I went, clueless about where I was heading, but optimistic nonetheless. And then there it was, my first darshan of Mahakaleshwar.
जटाधरं पार्वती वामभागं सदाशिवं रुद्रमनन्तरूपं चिदम्बरेशं हृदि भावयामि वाचामतीतं फणिभूषणाङ्गम्.
It was a mix of awe and anticlimax. There he stood in all his Ardhanarishwara glory, a masterpiece painstakingly crafted by the priests. But the distance between us felt like the Grand Canyon. After being indulged at Omkareshwar, my inner voice murmured, "Well, this isn't how I envisioned our first meeting." The irony, however, wasn't lost on me. After months of obsessively watching the live darshans and marveling at the artistry of the Shringar, here I was witnessing it up close. The intricate detailing, the patience, and the devotion that went into creating a divine form thrice a day left me speechless. The priest had transformed Mahakal from a fearsome deity into a relatable, almost human figure, bringing life and expression to Shiva's form. The Ardhanarishvara Shringar didn't disappoint. It was stunning, divine, and worth every step of my corridor adventure. The best part, it was a Tuesday evening at 8:30 p.m., which meant fewer crowds and more time to soak it all in. Sitting in the Ganesh hall, I could feel the energy pulsating around me. It was only the first of many darshans during my time in Ujjain, each more unique than the last. So stay tuned for the grand finale. It's a journey worth every twist, turn, and misdirections.
हे माद्रिचापं त्रिगुणात्मभावं गुहात्मजं व्याघ्रपुरे समाद्यं श्मशानवासं
It was a chilly 10 degrees in Ujjain, the kind of weather that makes you want to crawl back under the blankets and pretend mornings don't exist. But no, I had a mission. Kaal Bhairav Temple. And I had heard the horror stories, serpentine lines, relentless waits, and the crowd that could rival the Kumbh Mela. So I decided to outsmart the rush and leave my hotel at 7:30 a.m., armed with optimism and a fleece jacket. Flagging down an auto in that fog felt like trying to catch a unicorn. After a few failed attempts, an auto finally screeched to a stop. The driver peered at me and in an accent that made me lean in to catch every word, suggested I visit multiple temples instead of just one. And so began my guided pilgrimage with this philosopher, storyteller, and driver who became my shadow for the next 3 days. Siddhavat was on my list, primarily because of its folklore, connection to Vikram and Betal, and legendary banyan tree that survived Mughal brutality. But my guide gently nudged me towards Rinmukteshwar Mahadev instead, saying Siddhavat's primary purpose was for rituals to honor the deceased. That was enough to make me reconsider. When we reached Rinmukteshwar Mahadev, the priests were just starting their day. After a simple Jal Abhishek and Sparsh Darshan, I stepped outside to a view that stopped me in my tracks. The fog was playing tricks on the river Shipra. It was there and not there at the same time. And right in front of me was a breathtaking banyan tree, ancient and majestic, as if it had 1,000 stories to tell. Honestly, if Ujjain had a tagline, it would be the city of stunning banyan trees. Nearby, I spotted a cattle shed, and before I could say anything, a caretaker asked if I'd like to feed the cows. Is that even a question? If not water bodies or mountains, it's animals that fill my heart with joy. Watching the cattle munch on the feed I bought felt oddly fulfilling, as if I'd chipped away at some cosmic debt. No rituals, no sadhana, just happy chomping cows. Now that's my kind of spiritual therapy. Next stop, Kaal Bhairav. Mentioned in the Avanti Khanda of Skanda Purana, this temple has a reputation that precedes it. On arrival, I did what every tourist does, snapped a picture of the puja thali with its signature liquor bottle. The ritual of offering alcohol to the deity intrigued and amused me in equal measure. After navigating the maze of barricades, I found myself in the main mandap, unmistakably influenced by the Maratha architecture, just in time for the morning Aarthi.
पावनाङ्घ्रिपङ्कजं व्यालयज्ञसूत्रमिन्दुशेखरं कृपाकरं नारदादियोगिवृन्दवन्दितं दिगम्बरं काशिकापुरादिनाथ कालभैरवं भजे
Now, let me tell you, Aartis in Ujjain are not for the faint hearted. Forget the soft, melodious chants you might be used to. This was loud, energetic, and unapologetically chaotic. It jolted me awake, forced me to pay attention, and even made me forget that I was being squished by a sea of humanity. Amidst the push and the pull, I finally made it to the Garbhagriha after the Aarti. The priest was handing over the offering, a plate full of liquor, and as I watched Kaal Bhairav symbolically and literally accept the offerings, I found myself lost. Not in wonderment, but in a haze of emotions I couldn't quite place. Was it awe? Confusion? A sense of disconnect? I'm still not sure. All I know is that something felt missing, even after such a powerful darshan. Maybe it was the expectation of some grand epiphany that never came, or maybe it was just me overthinking. Classic. I walked back to the auto in a daze, still processing what I had experienced. And that's the thing about Ujjain. It's a place that confounds, humbles, and surprises you. Whether it's banyan trees that stand as a silent witness to history, the cattle that remind you of simple joys, or the temples that offer both answers and more questions, this town has a way of getting under your skin. As for Kaal Bhairav, maybe he wasn't just taking in the liquor. Maybe he was just trying to tell me to loosen up a little. After all, who goes to a temple expecting to make sense of everything? That's not faith, that's a checklist. I smiled as my philosopher driver started the auto. कहाँ चलेंगे आप, madam? Anywhere, I replied. Ujjain had already shown me that journey matters more than the destination.